Episode 126 here on the Real Kyper at Noon show, live and in digital color. Hope everybody had a great weekend and got their fill of NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. We're here starting to dissect it all in the next hour. Unfortunately, our good pal Doug MacLean had some issues, so what we ended up doing is sending out a search team to go find him. And what we ended up doing is getting a camera crew in front of him. Where is he? He's in Maine. Acadia National Park in Maine. He's hiking. So I said, at the very least, we got to get a cameo appearance from him. Because you know when Doug's not on, we go get people better than him. And he hates that. It bothers them. It bothers him. Probably even bothers Jill that we get somebody younger and better looking and more knowledgeable. Isn't that right, Alan May?
Absolutely. You know what? I can't believe that guy's out there without a chaperone. And in the RV, I can only imagine he probably was on his way to California and somehow he's in Maine now. So I can't figure the guy out. And he's been lost his whole career.
Also here, Jordan and Joe, of course, and they are my crack search team. So Jordan, how did it go? Did we actually find him somewhere at top of a mountain?
Maybe like a little bit of a hill, a structured mountain. It's, we weren't doing any free soloing here, but yeah, always appreciate Doug chiming in. To be honest, man, it's just I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he just is always like how he is. I love it. I love him, man. He always brings a smile to my face. I hope he does with you guys as well, but I don't know how he does it every day. I really don't.
What did he send us? Can we watch it?
Yeah.
Can we see where the heck he is?
Coming to you from parts unknown, Doug MacLean.
Hey guys, I'm really sorry I couldn't make the show, but I've been mountain climbing all day. I went up Cadillac Mountain. Now we're on the descent, 3/4 of the way down. You know what, May, you've let me down when you've been on in the past. Kyper's birthday celebrations will slow him down. I know you need a little energy, that's why I thought I'd send this in. Let's be ready to go, men. I just finished 4 hours on the mountain.
He says, "Come on, men, let's do it. Let's do it for the old Gipper over there, Doug."
Could we not have gotten him a fold-out chair and some oxygen?
Hey, a 4-hour trip. He just went up to that tree line and back. That's as far as he went. And I didn't realize he had chicken legs like that. Those are the smallest legs that any hockey person I've ever seen. But I guess that explains why he couldn't play past junior B or C or whatever it was he played back in the day. But oh my God, wow! Good thing he was good at school.
I've seen better legs on a piano than Doug MacLean's video right now. But he misses us. There's no question he's missing us. And hey, he's just going to have to sit back and watch the pros do it here, Alan, right?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things about Doug, I've known him since the very first day I ever got to DC. He picked me up at the airport in his Dodge Caravan panel van. It had I don't know how many child seats in the back. And he had a double seat belt on. And he just talked my ear off the whole way. And my eyes were rolling in the back of my head by the time I got to the team hotel. I was like, who is this guy? And I found out it was one of the assistant coaches. I thought he was like the extra athletic therapist, not the athletic therapist, but the equipment guy. I thought he was like Woody's assistant. So he's been around a while, and go from being the extra trainer to all the way up to being a president, general manager of hockey team is pretty miraculous.
Nothing's really changed for him since then till now. He still travels around like he's the Griswold family in national vacation. Except he's doing it with a Porsche and a Mercedes RV. That's the only difference.
No, absolutely. You know what? Good for him. You know what? Old people should enjoy. They should enjoy their last times on Earth. And it's good to see him out getting around, because I'm sure that he's probably never been anywhere before other than PEI and NHL cities. He's probably never ever vacationed before. He's probably never done anything fun.
Well, we're going to talk a lot about what has transpired in the last 48 hours, including Doug's good pal, Gerard Gallant, who really took a team that nobody gave any credit to at the World Championship and turn it into a gold medal. But we'll get into that a little later on in the show. Alan, we're going to start off with the Montreal Canadiens, and what we have witnessed in the last week is something, I don't know, maybe short of a miracle. It's been remarkable that they have taken a 3-1 deficit in the first round and have turned it into 6 wins in a row. And it's just not the 6 wins, Alan. It's the 6 that they scored first. It's 6 that they've never trailed. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in terms of looking so down and out to can't do anything wrong.
Well, this is a classic example of, right now, Paul Maurice is getting drastically outcoached by Ducharme, and his players are being outwilled, just like, Toronto was drastically outcoached, and their players were outwilled, and, they weren't focused. I don't think the Leafs were focused enough on the games, and they didn't give Montreal enough respect or credit for, being a big team, having those great veteran defensemen that they have, the goaltender that they have back there. And with the playoffs, when everyone dials it in and there's more commitment, you have to have physical commitment. You have to have physical sacrifice. And Montreal's done an incredible job. So right now, when I look around the National Hockey League, they're playing the best team game there is. It reminds me a lot of what St. Louis did when they won the Cup defensively, not what they're doing on the forechecks and things like that, but they're winning their puck battles. They're checking the puck incredibly well, but they're taking away the middle of the ice. And the way they're doing it reminds me of St. Louis. You couldn't get to the center of the ice. And, when they were getting shots last night, they were from the perimeter. Everything was from the perimeter with Winnipeg. Nothing was in the guts. And they had a couple of chances here and there, but not enough to gain momentum at any point in that game. So I thought Montreal played their game pretty much to a T, 95% to what they wanted to do. In the third period, there were some iffy puck management decisions, but they cleaned that up after about a 3-minute stretch where they were making the right play, staying strong side of the ice, high flippers, the wingers getting the puck out of the boards, not extra handling it, not bumping it back to the D, not putting it into the trapezoid. And I just think right there, Winnipeg's not tailor-made for that. I'm not a big fan of their 6-man unit on defense, and they're kind of top-heavy. And then you look what Scheifele did, with the childish play that cost his team. So their greatest offensive threats now out. So it's a lot easier for Montreal to focus on everyone else and to worry about them because, Blake Wheeler's not a big game goal scoring guy. And he's kind of, races around the perimeter and doesn't get to the net enough. Yeah, but Scheifele's the guy that, all of a sudden that's dangerous threat is not there. And he probably won't get back in the series because I don't think he'll be able to play in the game because Montreal's got this thing. I think they've got it handled.
Wheeler had his opportunity, hit the crossbar, and the reaction on his face was almost as if he was trying to sell that it was inside the bar. But the look on his face was he was dumbfounded that they're having so much trouble scoring, the frustration. Now, Alan, I believe that for me personally, that you win championships each and every year. It's consistent for me from the net on out. The Leafs in the first round built from Matthews and Marner backwards. I look at Winnipeg, and I think you nailed it, that they're good up front. We know they've got a Vezina Trophy winner in a goaltender, but then you look at that blue line, and is that the difference maker in all of this? Is that
I absolutely. When you look at years ago what Winnipeg had, and that goes to me show they were outcoached as well when they had Byfuglien in the lineup still, Trouba, and that right side, the way they were able to really lock teams down. And I don't see the threats there anymore. Byfuglien was a game changer. Trouba could hold his own. He was their third pairing guy. Tyler Myers was there. They all could move the puck. And, Trouba's, supposedly number one defenseman in New York. But you just look at the depth that they had back on D. They were a really good looking team.
Trouba also played with edge, and he could get
nasty.
And
all three of those guys really could play.
Right.
They could play an all around. They're hard to get around. They were huge bodies. And I look back there now, they don't look so big. They've got the one young kid, but he's a non-factor to me right now. And I just think what they had before, they had a more complete team. They were, you have to have goaltending, you have to have defense, you have to have, all your forward, 3 lines at least. and your fourth line cannot be a liability. And right now, to me, they're the D are suspect on that team. They can't win their battles against the Canadiens. They can't move the puck, and they're guessing on everything that they do. So it's Montreal's just dialed in right now. That with no fans in the building. In reality, there's no fans in the building. There, a couple thousand one night, 500 the next. That's not enough to be a game changer momentum-wise. But what they're doing, the way they're feeding off of the playing the puck and checking it so well. I think it's excellent. Montreal's doing an incredible job right now, and everyone is on the same page as to what they have to do.
They got the old timers too going pretty good. And Corey Perry, we saw him last season with Dallas, help them get to a Stanley Cup final, and we're almost watching it all over again with the Montreal Canadiens in terms of Perry having such a presence in a series. And if it's not scoring goals, it's around the net, it's bothering Hellebuck, it's eating a ham sandwich in his kitchen.
Well, you look at, so he's a fourth line guy that was a league MVP, and he's got a lot of heart. He doesn't have a lot of speed, but he keeps his legs moving. He's a different skater. It's, really unorthodox, but he knows how to play the game, protect the puck. What he does on the wall with the puck is phenomenal. He knows how to bump into goalies. He knows how to drop a referee into a bad call. Sometimes he takes the odd call, but he is such a gamer and so competitive. And he's got to be firing the guys up right now with them looking at him, and he's doing everything that the team is asking. But last night, you would have swore it was like the 24-year-old Corey Perry, the way he started the game and got his first goal. So right now, you look at him, there's a lot of teams that could use people with like a heart, an engine, a motor like that. Speed or no speed, I like how he plays on the inside of the ice. When he's on the boards, he wins his board battles. And you look at a lot of older players, they don't want to play the game in the middle. And I think, look at Toronto, some of their guys, they weren't playing the game in the middle of the ice. They weren't getting to the net. They weren't paying the price. They weren't playing ugly. They weren't getting gritty. And Corey Perry has never changed his stripes. He's been a gritty player from day one. He's a pain in the ass. You kind of want to knock him out. There's a lot of the things that he does, but he's fully involved in every game. And, regardless of what he's getting paid this year, he's always earned his money.
The other crazy part about this is between Corey Perry and Wayne Simmons, both Montreal and Toronto targeted Wayne Simmons. Corey Perry was an afterthought, and Simmons went, I think, in the first 24 or 48 hours of unrestricted free agency, and Corey Perry had to wait for a very long time. But both teams wanted Wayne Simmons, and Montreal offered him a contract that he turned down to go to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto paid the 1.5, and there's Corey Perry, sitting on the sidelines, and then ultimately signing with Montreal. Didn't look like he was even going to be. He wasn't even in a starting rotation. Ended up on a taxi squad. Went on waivers, and here he is now having the last laugh on everyone.
Oh, he's done an incredible job. And when you look at, Wayne Simmons, to me, he's nowhere near what he was. And, he's not great with the puck. He's great down near the net when he, on the power play moves, and the things that he can do at the net are really, really good. But I don't think the legs have been there for quite a while. And I look back, there's just so much more polish in the game of Corey Perry, such a crafty, heady, smart hockey player. And I know years ago, the Washington Capitals were Dale Hunter called and said, take this guy, guarantee you he's going to play in the NHL a long time. He's going to score 50 in the NHL. And Hunt's was all over it, and the Caps drafted Eric Fehr instead. And, obviously Corey Perry had the way better career, and he's won championships. Eric won one in Pittsburgh. But I look at the totality of the career, I would rather have, as long as Corey Perry wants to play and the work ethic is still there, you have to take the league MVP. So if I'm Toronto and I'm going after both of those guys, I got to really do the hard pitch, the hard sell on Corey Perry, because he's got so much jam and he can bring you into the fight. He can turn the game on his head in a heartbeat with one of those little, knee on knees, or, the bumps into the goalie, the face wash, looking at there's a lot of things that are annoying about his game that actually gets the other team so off kilter, they start to worry about him. But he's used to it. It's the only way he's ever played. I'm sure In junior, it was even worse. In the American League, it was probably way worse, the little bit that he played there. But he is a hell of a hockey player, and he's definitely getting the last laugh right now, and hopefully he gets to play another round here.
The other guy who's getting a pretty good chuckle has to be Carey Price, because so many have talked, and it's not without reason. When you question Carey Price and where he's been the last few years during the regular season, and who went through the bubble and beat Pittsburgh last year, but just hasn't seen, at least from the fans' perspective, a consistency out of him. And yet we're watching him with a .950 save percentage. It's incredible. And more importantly, I think in all of this is that we're not seeing this just become a Carey Price show. As solid as he's been, he hasn't exactly stolen games for the Montreal Canadiens. There's significant zone time. There's great cycles. There's timely scoring. There's specialty teams coming up with a big shorthanded goal by Armia. I mean, there's a lot of belief here that Carey's just a part of something that's happening.
Well, you don't want to be
right now.
You don't want to be too goalie dependent. And when you look what he's able to do right now, you know, he's not letting anything sloppy. There's nothing going under him, through him. You know, you have to score your goals the right way right now. And his team's playing a great brand of defensive hockey, a lot like I remember the Capitals used to play the New York Rangers. I felt like every playoffs, and Henrik Lundqvist would get all these great wins. And his team, there was the ultimate defensive sacrifice of shot blocks and forcing the Caps to get to the perimeter. No one was getting to the guts of the net, to the slot. And right now, Carey Price, he's had some games, in my opinion, where he's taken the game. But on the other side of it, the team game, everything, head to toe, right now in Montreal is phenomenal. When you look at all the teams left in the playoffs, there's two teams that really play a team game, and it's the Islanders and it's the Montreal Canadiens. It's everyone has to be on that. Everyone has to be 100% committed to that system, and that's how you go far. And we had an old coach that used to tell us you could take 20 average hockey players, as long as they play the system, you're going to win games. You're going to win more than you lose, versus a team full of stars that somewhat prima donna like attitudes. They're going to try to do everything one-on-one. You have to win as a team. And if you get your stars buying in as well, like Matthew Barzal has done on Long Island, you guys step up, and the rest of the team, you have to have an absolute buy-in. And I'm looking at Montreal and the Islanders right now. There's an absolute buy-in.
Can that buy-in take a lineup without a $10 million player to a final or a Stanley Cup? It's one thing to have some success in the first two rounds, but those teams have tend to fizzle when push comes to shove. And I don't know, because there is something to be said that Carey Price right now is the only $10 million player that's gone this far.
Well, yeah, you look, when the St. Louis Blues won it, they didn't have anyone making that type of money. But when I think $10 million, I'm usually thinking up front or a D-man.
But they had Allen, $10 million type of talent. And Pietrangelo was one of those guys that was, but
he was making $5.5 million. So my point is,
but he turned himself into a $9 million player.
Yeah.
Right?
So Vegas was going to do anything. So whatever dollar amount they knew they needed a right-handed D and a top tier guy. And they have everything that goes with it to get him. But with Corey Perry, when they did sign the contract years ago, everyone thought it was a great contract. And you look at, if you don't have the horses, you still have to score game-winning goals. And we've all been on that. Every guy that's played has been on a team that can get you the game-winning goal. You just don't have enough. You and I played on some teams that worked so hard and we're all dialed in, but you didn't have the guys that could score the game winner. And they've got some guys there. Like I absolutely love Tyler Toffoli and the game that he brings every night. He can get you game-winning goals. I love Cole Caulfield. I can't believe that he didn't play every game. But all the things, that kid's going to be a star in this league. He reminds me of DeBrincat, and I think everyone talks about that similarity. But he can skate up and down the ice. The passes are phenomenal. The finish, all of those things. But right now, I think they're all making zero in the playoffs. We got to remember that. So, Carey Price is used to walking around with that price tag attached to him. And, if he's smart, he's not on social media that often. And, to take the daggers, it's a vicious place. But at the same time, he's doing what he has to do. And you look around the league, other guys, they've learned not to give. I believe after the Bobrovsky contract, that they're not going to be giving out these whoppers of contracts to goaltenders anymore. Certainly not long term, not 7 and 8 year deals, because it cripples your team. And if you don't believe in your goaltending, what do you do? That's a lot of cash to you back there. But there's no one that's ever argued that Carey Price is not a phenomenal goaltender.
Before we move on, I want to get your thoughts on Pierre-Luc Dubois, because we have not seen anything like we experienced his play out of the bubble, especially against the Toronto Maple Leafs last year. This guy looked like he was ready to go to the next level as a star, as a franchise type of feel for Columbus. We all know where that went. Circled the drain real quick. But at Winnipeg, had expectations for this guy to, if not be a number one centerman, play right behind Scheifele, but it was a 1A, 1A. It wasn't even thinking of who's the B in all of this. It hasn't even come close. You're watching him. There's a level of frustration coming out of him like everyone else, but 15 minutes a night is probably all Maurice wants to give him right now. But what is going on with Pierre-Luc Dubois? Why has this not worked?
The first thing you have to look at is he injured? So I will give that. My question mark would be, is he injured? And the teams never tell the truth. They never help out with this. He's got the jersey on, so all the arrows and the knives they're going into the back or wherever are well deserved. Because I look at the penalty the other night, just absolutely moronic, and just this gutless, stupid, senseless play. And he's not playing with any fire. Tortorella used to have that kid fired up, because I remember when he first got in the league, I go, wow, they're pushing this kid. And then he played with so much heart and soul. I'm not seeing any heart and soul right now whatsoever. I've seen kind of a perimeter player, no finish. He's not dialed in. And you start to wonder, what's going on here? Why is this kid, is it always everyone else's problem? Or does he look in the mirror and say, I have to be better? He forced his way out of Columbus. No one will ever know why, apparently. But at the same time, there's got to be more to the story, because he's definitely not fitting in Winnipeg, in my opinion. He had a good start when he's kind of dialed in, but right now I can't tell who he is on the ice. He doesn't look like the same guy that played for Torts in the playoffs in Columbus, and there's no fire in his game whatsoever. So I always give the benefit of the doubt in the playoffs on injuries, and they rack up. And I know the team that I cover, it's 6 or 7 major injuries to really good hockey players. There's no way you can go far and be your best in the playoffs. You might be able to go on cruise control during the regular season, but in the playoffs, when it's all out, all in, all the time, it's got to be nothing but your best.
Game 4 tonight, 24 hours later. Montreal, of course, leading this series 3-0. Oh, 2 guys in this series have experienced being up experienced a series that was up 3-0 and only to lose it. And we know there's how many of those? 4 now, or 5 in history? Who are the 2 players, Alan?
Oh, God. Way to stump me.
Yeah, I know. Who are the 2 guys that have experienced blowing a 3-0 series lead? 2 guys in this series.
Oh, God. You got me. Just give me a sec.
Think about recent history.
Is there any Sharks out there?
You're in the ballpark.
Yeah. So, well, Jamie Benn. No, not Jamie Benn. Who came from the Sharks?
LA San Jose.
Yeah, LA San Jose.
2014.
Yeah. So that's how I'm trying to go through the roster. Tonight. Yeah, we got to go. Tyler Toffoli.
There you go.
And
LA down 3-0 to San Jose.
And weren't they 7? They just got in the playoffs that year, wasn't it?
And they played
and they played the highest seed in every round. They always played the highest seed team. But yeah.
Okay, so you got Toffoli. Who's the other one in this game?
You got me right now. We'll
2010 Boston Flyers. Boston blew a 3-0 lead to the Philadelphia Flyers in 2010. Who was on that roster that is playing tonight in Winnipeg and Montreal?
I'm going through the roster, and I can't tell you right now. You got me.
Maybe because nobody quite remembers Blake Wheeler as a Boston Bruin.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So 2 guys. So that type of experience would be a friendly reminder to both teams, would it not, having a player to talk about that?
Well, it's great to have those, but you have to, no matter what, you just got to go out and play these games. The bottom line is you just take the game serious. You're just playing the game. You're not trying to. It's kind of tough to say, but you're not trying to end the series. Even though you're trying to end the series, you just got to worry about winning your shifts. It goes back to those old cliches. Really, every shift is important. Every shift matters, and you've got to get out there. So the players that are there, it's like, don't get too far ahead of yourself. And we were always told the game closer, the hardest one to win was game number 4. And, that's a lot of coach mumbo jumbo, but the biggest thing is just continue to play your game. Don't think about days off. Don't think about who you're playing next. Just worry about winning your shifts, winning your periods, and get through it. And just don't put, too much extraterrestrial pressure on yourself to go out there and just end it in the first shift tonight.
8:00 Eastern. Prior to that puck drop, we'll have the Islanders and the Bruins starting at 6:30 Eastern. This series tied at 2-2. Is it just a foregone conclusion that this will go to a 7th game and need overtime?
Well, I don't know if the Bruins will be able to go that far. They keep having so many injuries right now. And the Capitals, the Bruins they get one of the best lines in all of hockey, Marchand, Bergeron, Pastrnak. And they're phenomenal hockey players.
You still don't like the Bruins more than you like the Islanders to win this.
And the reason is the amount of injuries on the Boston Bruins. They've had 4 defensemen already hurt in the playoffs. I look at what the Islanders play, a heavy brand of hockey. You go out there, so all of a sudden, Jeremy Lauzon, who struggles on the left side, to me, is going to play on the right side in the second pair with Mike Riley. So then you have Connor Clifton with Jared Chinordi. Jared Chinordi's not gifted with the puck. I look at that. They've got to play this game down low, in the trapezoid, in the low slot, and make them pay. And then anything you can do to make McAvoy pay the price, you wear him down. Because they're going to play him, in a 60-minute game, they're going to play him 25 to 30 minutes. He's going to be on the ice in every situation. I think you have to take them out physically every chance you get. So smart pucks in. And one thing about a Trotzy team, he's got so much more clout after winning with Stanley Cup with the Caps. There's a buy-in by everyone. It took Mark Barzal a little while, but that kid's bought into everything. So I just look at the ground and pound game is what the New York Islanders have to continue to do. They can't get in a track meet. And if they continue the ground and pound game, going and finishing hits with absolute certainty that you can get there, otherwise you stay in front of the puck and just check the puck. Be frustrating to play against, a lot like Montreal. So I'm just going to continue the team game of the New York Islanders and being more healthier than the Boston Bruins is what, to me, gives this series eventually to the New York Islanders.
Can you help me explain to all the wonderful viewers and listeners out there that hockey players, there's a suggestion out there that no one wants to see anybody hurt, right? Can you explain to everybody that when we play, and when we played this time of year, we like it when someone gets hurt on the other team. We do. We just don't want them. We don't. You don't want them hurt on an illegal play or something that's outside the boundaries. But we hit this time of year to hurt, and I think in this series a prime example is Cal Clutterbuck hit on Carlo. When you hit a guy that hard and he can't finish the game, that's a good thing for our team. Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, okay, here. All the fights I had in my hockey career, junior or pro, you're trying to win the fight. You want them to feel it. And you really want to make and what you're doing is you don't want the guy to have to keep fighting the same guy. And, there's some of those guys out there that, you beat up 16 times, you keep coming back thinking they're going to beat you in 17. But when you finish your hits, and the playoffs is all about physical sacrifice. So you're trying to wear them out. You're trying to take, a percentage out of their battery, and you're wearing them down. Every time you hit, you're trying to, and there's nothing better than when you see, so we don't want stretchers. We don't want But when the next game,
Exactly.
when the next game, when they walk out of the tunnel, you want to see that there isn't a Brandon Carlo walking out of the tunnel. There's no
And
Kevin Millar walking out of the tunnel.
that's a big that's a big feather in Cal's hat, is that, you know, you got a 20-minute guy out of the game. And you're right. I'm not talking stretcher, and I'm not talking about anybody jeopardizing their career. But when I can hit you hard enough and you can't finish the game, that is a great thing for my team.
Absolutely. You're trying to wear players down. And then you get to the point where you've worn them down. So they've got their jersey on still, but they don't want to get to the puck. And they're going to take a little bit of a detour to get there. They're going to be second on it every time when they could have been, should have been first. So you're just trying to wear teams down. It's a war of attrition to go all the way. You need everything. You need, your roster, goaltender out, right coaching, right management. But then, you need to have some luck, and you got to be healthy. And, that qualifies as luck in some cases, but being healthy is critically important. And, there's teams, and if you don't have bumps and bruises and cuts and scrapes all over, you haven't sacrificed enough. And we all know the stories about the teams that go the furthest. It's more Advil, it's more Band-Aids, it's more, guys, I never did anything like it where you got shot up in the knee so you couldn't feel it or whatever. You had the knee injuries. I never had those. But you have to, you got to wear and tear. My favorite part, and not my favorite part, my least favorite part is when people go, I can't believe they let them play hurt. Why would they play hurt? Because you want guys there. Why wouldn't they put this guy in? Is if a guy can be above 80% or whatever, or your magic number is, you want them in the lineup because, the guy with the good brain, like you take a 50% health of a Patrice Bergeron over anyone else, that you have in your system, because he's still going to be the smartest player on the ice in any game that he's playing. So, you know what? You have to play hurt, and you want guys on your roster that are willing to do that versus the guy that says, I kind of felt something in my ribs. And, I don't think I can go. You want the guy that says, all right, I'm going to get to the rink 5 hours early tonight to get my ribs warmed up so I can lift my arm up over my head, even though you don't really need to do that in the game other than when you score. And then you go out and you just do what you can to play those games. And you wake up in crazy pain the next day, and you ice, you heat, you go through it. And those teams that have the most sacrifice and the guys that are willing to put it all on the line are the teams that win the Stanley Cup. And last year, Tampa Bay had a lot of those guys on their roster that were fighting through pain. St. Louis Blues, Washington Capitals, Pittsburgh Penguins, when we go back and all the cup winners, it's the most physical sacrifices needed to win it.
Well, there is a big difference between hurting and being injured. And once you've crossed that line, then the decision probably is being made for you, right?
Well, it has to be. Well, you look at the lower body injuries are the tough ones. You can play with a separated shoulder. I did it. You did it. Elbows, hands, you name it. Ribs. I had that nonstop during my career. But once you start looking at the knee or groin and you've got no push, if you've got no gears, you're not going to help your team. If you've got, if you can't take a shot, you can't help your team. And, by putting weight on your back leg to fire a slapper or a wrist shot or whatever, you're not going to help your team. So that, those are the judgment calls. And those are why the trainers and the coaching staff now, and having depth and loading up your roster, circumventing the salary cap the way one of these teams in the playoffs has done so well. It seems like Tampa's got like 80 players on their roster, the way they keep coming out of the tunnel.
Okay, let's switch gears out west. And we're talking Vegas and Colorado. What an entertaining series this has been so far. And Vegas holds serve, basically, going back to Colorado, tied at 2. This one had a real strange feeling in the first 8-10 minutes of the game when we see Colorado score that first goal. And then maybe one of the craziest goals I've seen in quite a while for Vegas to get right back into this. And this was off of a Riley Smith backhand that hit the crossbar that everybody, but most importantly, Grubauer, thought that it went already in. And what looked like a clearance to get themselves out of trouble ends up being a puck in their net split second later. It was nuts.
Well, that's what happens. One of the things down on the American broadcast, they had the sound of the fans turned down way too much. And I kind of like when you get more of the feel from, I miss some of the fake crowd noise, to tell you the truth. But they muted the sound here in the States. But I had friends that were at the game, and I had a buddy that's an NHL coach. He's at the game and said it's the loudest they've ever heard it. And my guys in Las Vegas who go to the games all the time said it's never been louder. So when you look in that goal, like, this is chaos. You and I played in Madison Square Gardens in the spring of 1990, and we couldn't even yell in each other's ears beside us. And it started in warm up with the anthem, and it was just unnerving all game long. So Colorado, I think, after that goal, they became so unnerved, the noise and the fans just, propelling them to a next level. And it was a super exciting game. You go from the chess match of how Montreal plays right now and, what they're doing, and there's no fans in the building, but it's very methodical. What's going on in that series, it's just like end-to-end action, nonstop, full speed, like going for the breakaway pass every time, and full-on forechecks, 3 guys in one corner, just crazy mayhem. And I look at that, it's a completely different game, and people say, oh, this game's, no, they're being coached different ways and how they play and what their strengths are. Montreal's strength is not speed. Winnipeg, I don't think their strength is speed. You look at Vegas and Colorado, it's speed is how they play their games and how they've worn teams down all season long.
Their forecheck is relentless, and Colorado is feeling it right now. And as skilled as those guys are, they have no breathing room right now. And I just think that first goal, and Jonathan Marchessault got credit for it, but if what didn't get enough credit or what didn't get enough attention was William Karlsson saving the play in the corner. So as quickly as the puck came out and looked like it was in a safe territory, Karlsson, I think, beat Sherwood on a race to that loose puck and got it right back to the front of the net, and it was in. And I just think that Karlsson chase or hunt down for a loose puck battle, beating Sherwood, is the poster child for what Vegas is doing now to Colorado. That's it in a nutshell.
Well, Karlsson knew it didn't go in. He stayed in on the play, whereas all of the other players in Colorado, they kind of stopped for a second. So that stutter step cost them big time. And when you look right now in this series, to me, when you're on the road for Colorado, I think, and I've said this, I think I even said on your show, that I think Colorado's defense is a weakness. Their defensive unit, the guys that they have on their back end. They've got Cale Makar.
I saw it differently. Superstar. I saw it differently with Makar, and Taves, to me, was a guy that was supposed to take their team to another level. He's a 25-minute guy.
Yeah, but to me, it's the regular season puck move. But I'm not a big, like, Taves is a nice hockey player, but I'm not as big on him as offensively as other people are. And I look at him defensively. He didn't fit in what the Islanders were doing. It wasn't a loss to them when they had to move him. I look at Girard. There's not enough finish in his game, and he's kind of, gets the puck out of the zone. He can wheel it out, but the finish, the smarter players aren't there. And then I look at Timmins, really struggled in the skating department last night. Patrick Nemeth skated. I thought Graves, once there was a separation in the score, played very scared, because he's a marked man. And I just look at all that, and they're just putting too much pressure on Makar. And I saw this during the regular season, where they lean on Makar so much. By the end of games, as great a skater he is and as energetic, he was starting to gas. And last night he looked gassed to me in that game. But now you get the line matchups, you go back to Colorado, it's going to be a different game. They're going to be able to get McKinnon and his line away, because he was very much a non-factor last night. A lot of bad plays at the puck by McKinnon. I think Rantanen's been the best player to me so far in the playoffs for all of their forwards as far as those are concerned. Is this where Kadri, some of this, that you need him in the lineup, and that guy's not there right now. So they're trying to mix and match on the ice. So they really need the home ice matchup. And, the last game, Peter DeBoer did a phenomenal job of coaching. And you're going to see if Bednar, he's got to win to me. They had a great, but he has to win this round to keep his job, in my opinion. There's a lot of skating talent. There's a lot. But last night, I don't think he coached to the best of his abilities or what was needed to be done to take control of that game. And slow it down, and get it to a temperature that they could handle for a while.
Wow, you think Bednar's job's on the line if
Well, you have to get
4 out of 5 games?
You have to get next level. Like, you have to go next level, and there's pressure. They've got a phenomenal roster for the most part. They still, like, as I said, I believe they need to add defensemen. They need to add more speed back there as a 6-man unit, because it has to match the profile of your team. You can't just have bruisers on the back and speed in the front. You kind of have, it's all kind of got to be in the same mix when you put these teams together. So you can't, it's got to be like right now. You look at Montreal, they're not a fast team, but everyone's big, size, physical, understands how to play a two-way game. And then the other guys, you know, they're playing like Caulfield, Suzuki, players like that. They're playing a smart brand of hockey that falls in line defensively, and they've got finish. So you just look at, there's not a mismatch or a mix. You know, it's not. It's a nice blend of how you can put your team together, is what Montreal's done late in the season here.
Well, there is something to say in terms of what I'm hearing out of you, and I agree that, and I do like Colorado's defense, but I'm not seeing a lot of puck management, and not like I'm seeing out of Vegas right now. And the 3 guys that really stand out for me is Pietrangelo. I thought had a fantastic game last night. Martinez and Theodore. But when it comes to Pietrangelo and Martinez, what's the difference between, you know, Makar and the rest of them right now is just experience, having a little bit of puck savvy.
I don't think the skating to me, the skating profile is not there for Colorado on the back end. Makar
is one of the best skaters you'll ever find.
But so you have one guy, so you have to win with a roster, and you know the other guys are struggling right now with the skate. The speed is overwhelming if they're not getting the right matchups. For Nemeth, really struggled last night. I thought Timmins started to struggle last night. Graves was struggling. Taves has looked lost the last few games to me. And I don't know if he's injured, because he really hasn't any jump or zip in his game. And even though he's not always getting credited with turnovers, I'm seeing him give the puck away. And so I just look right now, they really need the line matchups in their favor. This is where the Scotty Bowman mentality comes in of, you know, he's, you know, all those line combinations are going through the brain. Who has to go against the perfect setups? And Bednar's going to have to really figure out what his setups are to protect the defenseman who can't wheel, and to make sure that they're going out against the right lines.
One guy that I tip my hat off to, and I was never a huge fan, is Max Pacioretty. And I probably say that because I've only experienced watching Max be, I think, miscasted in Montreal as a captain. And now that he doesn't have to do any of that sort of stuff or play the role of the go-to guy on and off the ice, he just seems to be in a perfect spot in Vegas. Points in every game he's played since he's come back off of his injury. And it's almost as if he gave Vegas a completely different look offensively the moment he stepped back into the lineup. He's been amazing.
Well, it's no more 24-hour pressure. An American captain in Montreal. We'll talk about a fishbowl. Playing in Toronto, fishbowl. And with the American teams, it's been forever. One of the things I think makes it easier for the American guys to have a happier life and maybe a happier career is that they don't have to deal with all of the other stuff, the 24-hour media coverage. Everyone knows who you are, it seems like, when you're in Canada, for the guys that play there. And Max Pacioretty, how many people would notice him in a casino in Vegas or walking around? Next to no one. And, you know, you can live your life and there's no extra pressure. The pressure is, we used to do this in Dallas when I played there with Bob Gainey. We were so far removed from hockey that in the morning he'd go, "Hey, Alan, how many goals does Rick Tocchet have right now?" And I go, 36. Like, you'd have to know that he wanted us to stay dialed into the rest of the league, because he goes from, you know, what he's in Montreal, the fishbowl, and everywhere you go, everyone knows who you are, and it's religion. And then he goes to Minnesota, kind of a hockey place, but nothing's quite to the extent of what happens out east. And then you come down to Dallas, and I go out to eat with Mike Modano, and one of the greatest hockey players ever, one of the greatest American hockey players ever. And no one knows who we are. We can go to sit in a steakhouse and big fancy, right in the middle table, And the only person who might know is the guy that sat us. But it's a different life. And I think that vibe and that energy that it creates is easier to be at your best. So I look at Pat's Ready. It's just blending in with your team, adhering to the game plan, just worried about what's on the ice. You don't have all that noise, all that other stuff. And the noise can be deafening, and it can really wear you down, and you feel the pressure. There, it's you finish your game, and you win, you lose. You know what you got to work on, but you're not going to get text in the Las Vegas Review-Journal or whatever it's called to the extent that you would be in Toronto, in Montreal, places like that.
Do you think back then someone was asking Rick Tocchet, hey, how many goals do you think Alan May has?
He probably said that little bastard has 222 penalty minutes right now in 40 games.
Yeah, that for sure.
Hey, I was in his head. I was in his head all the time. We've become good friends post-career, but we almost got in a fight in a restaurant one time when we showed up together. I was on one team. He was with Marty McSorley, and Marty asked me, I didn't know he was going to bring Rick. And next thing, we almost got in a fight. I challenged him to fight in the restaurant to go out in the parking lot because the way he was looking at me. But he goes, You say a lot of mean stuff on the ice. You talk to me. You're mean, like that. And then I'm like, grow up here. And just so now we're first text I got today about 7 a.m. was from Rick Tocchet. So it's we become good friends. He got over it. He got over all those harsh words that I used to say to him.
I would pay to go see you and Tocchet fight in a parking lot. I didn't pay. I didn't pay for Logan Paul and Floyd at $60. Jordan, are you out there? Did you see that fight? Did you pay for it?
Didn't I send you a free link last night?
Yeah, you did.
Wow. Piracy
I didn't take it.
That's how you
I didn't want to watch. I did not want to watch.
Yeah. No, I watched, of course. I watched the last one as well. I find it to be an interesting production. Was it
a slow dance, like everybody said at the prom?
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's like I always joke around and stuff like that when, my friends are messing with me. I do a lot of jiu-jitsu and I'm a low-level martial artist, right? But if you're doing something with someone that is like skilled or trained in any way, you're gonna get destroyed. Like, it's not even gonna be close. And that's kind of what I saw last night. I saw an old man and Floyd Mayweather just going through a nice stroll in the park. He got hit a couple good times for sure, but I would place a big wager that the amount of hours put into the gym for this particular fight were probably like 4-1 in favor of Paul to Mayweather. Yeah.
Mayweather. I've never seen Mayweather out of shape before. When I looked at that, he's still in phenomenal shape for a guy his age, but it's not like the normal hardcore Roger. And then Logan Paul was so uptight and tense from worrying about Mayweather unleashing the fury that he was just absolutely soaked. By the end of the first round, his hair looked like he'd just walked out of the shower. So it was entertainment, and good thing that we paid what we did last night, Nick, to watch that.
Yeah, free 99. I will say one thing though. I am one of those millennials that they talk about. I know I am a laptop hockey guy too. So I'm from the new age, Alan, and I think it's great that we have like 10, 11, 12-year-olds getting into boxing again, regardless if I think it's a great thing to watch or someone to be like a role model anyway. I just think it's great for the sport.
Are they getting into it because their favorite YouTuber is fighting a legend? Is that the reason why?
Yeah, one of the things that's going on in the States right now, Nick, is there's boxing gyms opening up everywhere, like fitness-style gyms, but people are starting to take it to the next level. I got a 16-year-old son that won the Golden Gloves for Dallas-Fort Worth.
Wow.
About 2 weeks ago. He's
Congratulations.
He's absolutely and utterly like just dialed in tunnel vision to box, and he watches every fight in the world. His mom's got something at her house that's like 3,800 channels, all paid for. And he he'll text me at 4 a.m. when I'm not home. It's like, Dad, I just watched this fight in Japan. Or he loves this kid out in Cape Breton, Ryan Rozicki, the Canadian champ. And he's so dialed in on it. So I look at you're going to like what you like. Last night, I think we all realized that's an exhibition. That's not real boxing. It's not like when we're watching Tyson Fury go at it and, the big boys. So, boxing's not what it was before. We have so many channels, so many more interests, so much social media activity. But so it's a niche. It's become more of a niche sport than it ever has, I guess.
Yeah. To answer your question, Kipper, I don't think that it has anything to do with the legend, to be honest. I think it's all about the YouTuber. And, you know, I think that the fact that Floyd is like a credible thing is very valuable, but I don't think the younger generation really cares about that in any way, shape, or form. And you know what? I think I'm a more of an MMA type of guy. I like jiu-jitsu. I like Muay Thai. That's what I enjoy watching and training myself. But hey, the more things that kids are getting into that are like having some balance in life, computer for 5 hours, boxing for 5 hours, you know, you mix it up and you make it good. So I'm down with it.
How much did they get paid last night?
100 million, I think Floyd got.
I would have fought too, man.
It would have been better.
I'll fight you for a mil.
And he probably hedged a huge bet that it would go 8 rounds himself.
Yeah, I'd take that.
Okay, let's me and you. We should promote. We'll do the same thing, but just with current or ex NHLers. Think there'd be some interest in that?
What, on the ice or in a boxing match?
In a boxing match.
You know what? In Toronto, Montreal, you could probably sell out the arenas with some of the names.
I'd go get some of the older guys too that think they still have some jam.
You know what? I wouldn't. At my age now, I don't think I'd want to be hit one time. I wouldn't mind hitting some. I wouldn't mind hitting someone.
I'm not talking.
I just don't want to wake up the next morning sore. I'm tired of that.
Alan, we're the promoters, man. We just we're guaranteed.
We'll do it like Don King. Don King. We'll take a 95% commission off each of our guys, or whatever that is.
I wonder if people would be interested in that, seeing Reeves or Evander Kane or Tom Wilson or, you know, some of these guys.
Here's the business idea, Kip. What we do is we go around and we make it a regional tour. So when we go to Boston, we make sure that we get like an old Canadiens tough guy, and that's where we put him up against an actual boxer just to get his ass kicked for the day. I think you sell 2,000 tickets at $25 a pop for that in a city like Boston. You know?
Hey, you know what, Kip? We go back when I was growing up. When the Oilers were in the NHL, Dave Semenko fought Muhammad Ali, and I saw Muhammad Ali in person. At the West Edmonton Mall. I was there with my girlfriend at the time, and you would swear the mall, there were so many people, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and the swarm while he walked around. And then Sammy fought him for 3 rounds, and I think they used like 16-ounce gloves, maybe bigger. They were pretty big boxing gloves, but the old man was just toying with the hockey player, and that was the toughest player in the NHL at the time. Yeah. What
a thrill for Semenko. Hey. But Evander Kane so desperately wanted to fight Logan Paul. I don't even think he got a response from him.
I think he'd kick his ass.
But it would. You think Evander would?
Yes. No way. Yeah. Evander would get spanked in a boxing match.
Hey, I don't know.
Evander
He's
punches
a tough
like
kid.
a boxer. He's trained. He is badass, and he can throw. He's like legit. He can box.
In chat, type number 1 if you think Logan would win, and number 2 if you think Kane would win. We'll get a little active poll here.
That one I would.
Did they do any drug testing before the fight? Because I saw some muscles where there shouldn't have been muscles last night. So
yeah, I think
I'm not sure with all that
extra juice, you know.
Yeah.
All bets are
not
off
the Buddha juice. It was the other
little
juice.
Buddha. Yeah. That's right. Okay, one more series I want to kind of pick your brain on, and that's Carolina. And I mean, I like that team a lot, the Carolina. And I don't know, Alan, if you feel like it's just a foregone conclusion that this could end next game. But I think maybe the only questionable thing that we can ever look back at Carolina is where was the goaltending when you needed it? And Mrazek, Nedeljkovic, I would be leaning towards Nedeljkovic.
I'm with you 100%. But they're going into Carolina, and that's the number 1 hornet's nest in the league to me. It's deafening in there. It's more than Vegas. They're a fast hockey team. They've gotten away from shooting the puck from the point with traffic. But there's little tweaks in their game, and you get in there and get a momentum. The biggest thing in that series, though, that might be the scariest power play I've ever seen at any level of hockey in my life. What Tampa's doing right now, the way they're whipping it around, it is every guy is a superstar on the power play, and it's not fair. It's not fair. But you look at like what Stamkos, point, they're not pressuring Hedman enough up top. And I remember when the Capitals beat them in their series, they figured out how to get the Hedman so he couldn't get the clean pucks over to Kucherov and Stamkos. And it's right now, all of those guys together, the way they can all, you think they're going to shoot and they throw a pass through skates, and it's just like that fast. It's just like everything. It's not, I've never seen a faster power play, puck move faster on a power play in my life.
You're right. And it's Kucherov. He is the key in all of that, because you said it best. You don't know what they're going to do with the puck. He can beat you clean, as he's shown already, from 40, 50 feet out. Or this is the best part about Kucherov. And you've watched Ovechkin all day long, and you know it's coming, and he'll still blast it by you. Kucherov, to me, is the best player I've ever seen disguise either a shot or a precision pass, which is that usually.
Well, what makes it harder, though? What makes it hard? Yeah, what makes it harder, though, is that you have a guy that's been crushing the power play for years in Stamkos on one side. So if you just go to a pure shooter power play, Stamkos and Kucherov, there's nothing like it. Washington has Ovi. Backstrom, you just give Backstrom the lane to shoot the puck in Washington. Every team will take that all day long. Just watch all the other guys let Backstrom shoot. Kucherov is a crossbar shooter as well. He's an off-speed twister, the way he moves the puck. The bumper point is phenomenal, the patience he has in the slot. But you look, if you had that threat on either side, then you've got a big guy. Victor Hedman can pound the puck too. But I think the key to stopping their power play is you have to put way more pressure on Hedman to force passes so they're not getting into the wheelhouse for Kucherov, because he makes everyone stutter step. They go down, they overcommit. But the power play, because they have two thrilling players on the other side, Stamkos doesn't get enough credit for what he's been able to do. And I look at both of those guys. They're throwing the passes through the seam. They're faking their shot. It's how many of those power play goals are, backdoor plays where everyone's overcommitted to one side, and then they even still go net front traffic on their power play and with their other guys. So no matter who's on that power play, who's running it, I know that, you have to have the players, and a lot of guys get, well, this guy runs the power play, but they are doing some different looks that have the players thinking these are the different plays. And I think it started with Guy Boucher years and years ago in Tampa. Their power play was phenomenal with LeCavier, Stammer was there. I think Richards there. Ryan Malone was net front. And what they've been able to do since by the additions of the different players and the departures, it's scary. Just the other day, I couldn't believe how many passes they were making. And, there were hurricanes gliding all over the place.
That game goes up Tuesday. So they got another little over 24 hours to kind of absorb that. Tampa Bay looking to close this thing out at 4-1. I agree with you, Alan, that still a lot of hockey to be played out of Carolina, including the fans and what they can provide them to get back into this series. Okay, one more thought I need out of you, and that is Gerard Gallant. If we assume that the job that everybody wants is the one in New York City, I would think that he sealed his fate with a gold medal win, especially going down 0-3 to start this tournament.
Well, yeah, I really don't think any of these Canadian championships help you get jobs one way or the other. I guess one of the things would be you're speaking with the coaches or your players that are there and say, what's he like? How was his presence in the room and things like that? More importantly, because we tactically, and you always get it in the international games. They make a big deal about who the GM is and who the coach is. Canada has a lot of pretty damn good hockey players. And I just look at that. I think whether you're going to hire Gerard Gallant or not has really zero bearing on the World Championships and Spengler Cups and things like that. I believe it's how you do in those interviews. Is there a chemistry between the general manager and the head coach? Rick Tocchet could have easily been over doing that. But, Gerard's a likable guy. I played with him briefly along the way. He's a likable guy. He's been pumped a couple different times now prematurely, and you wonder why that is. So, how well does he answer those questions of, look, what happened? Why this? What do you need to do to be better, to be not have a, drop in your career all of a sudden. What were you, when the Capitals played the Golden Knights in the finals years ago, Vegas, it was the easiest round the Caps had. Vegas didn't adapt to anything that the Caps threw at them because the Caps adapted to Vegas, and Vegas never threw anything. So you look at that and you wonder how much, that went into the decision to gas them. Yeah.
And that's why Vegas got rid of him. That's why they fired him, because they just didn't think that he adjusted in that series, and they didn't feel like they were seeing enough of it during the following season. But you listen to Luongo, and what was his quote after the gold medal game? One of the best coaches to buy in and play hard for. And I think that would be the number one reason why the Rangers would want to hire him, is because he gets the players to buy in. And does that mean there's a big difference between a buy-in and then being strategically prepared? I don't know, but right now I think his stock's never been higher.
Well, he's got a great stock right now, but the number one coach out there to me right now doing the interviews is Rick Tocchet. And I'm not saying because he's my buddy. It's what, you take the Stanley Cup championships as a player.
You fought him in a parking lot, for Christ's sake.
So now I'm pumping his tires because I feel bad because I would have hurt him. And then you look at, on the bench in Pittsburgh, a big part of what was going on there, the communication with players. I thought he got so many ounces out of that roster in Arizona that really is devoid of, any star players up front, like a mishmash of defensemen, a lot of different goaltenders. But there was a buy-in and the coaching methodology there. So I look at instant credibility if he's behind the Rangers bench to all the players. He can wear any of his Stanley Cup rings in the room, and he can talk about it with experience. So I think that's the thing right there that he has way above Girard, and the career that he had, the amount of goals that he had, the amount of penalty minutes. One of the the best all-around tough goal-scoring players ever. And so to me, I think Tocchet's the number one candidate for these different jobs: Columbus, New York, Seattle, and I think he'd be a perfect fit. And really, if I were him, I'd want to go to the Rangers. I'd want to go to Seattle ahead of Columbus. I think Columbus has got too many issues to deal with right now that you don't want to be talking about all the time.
So many reasons. Every year we hear that certain players do not want to be a part of a world championship tournament, but none more than this season with the pandemic. So you got to give the guys full credit for going over there and doing a great job, including Girard. But there's always, Alan, there's a part of me that has never been a big fan of this tournament for no other reason that it's in our Stanley Cup playoffs. And it always bugged the shit out of me when we were maybe down a game or two in a series, or it's not looking good, that we would actually start hearing about players making plans to go play in this tournament. And holy shit, did it just bother me and bothered others as well.
I'm with you on that too, because I look here in Washington, people used to hack on Ovechkin, and there was never any doubt he wasn't talking about it. I always believed he was all in on winning the Stanley Cup every year. But with the players, when their mother country calls, wherever it's Canada, Russia, Latvia, whatever it is, guys are going to go. And they kind of know in the back of their mind. But, we played with some guys, and they said it was the biggest thing in the world. But that's what they grew up watching.
I get it.
In reality, there's nothing like the Stanley Cup. We all know that. And the fanfare that you get over here all season, the playoffs. So, but it bothered me as well, because it was some guys, you could tell that they were mentally checked out, and that's probably why those teams that were on didn't win Stanley Cups, because those players were having those conversations and we're just counting the days. Yeah. So they weren't mentally fully committed to be all in and win those games.
And I don't disagree that everybody's dreaming different things growing up, and if it meant world championships, that's fine. But once it crept into a dressing room and you felt it, it was game over. And that's a horrible feeling when you've played 80 plus games to get to that.
Yeah, I'm not big. So I guess maybe that's why I disqualified Girard a little bit, is because I've never been big on that tournament. And it's the other guys that are always playing in it, not the true superstars. And then you go over there and that, Pittsburgh gets punked the one year, and Sydney goes, I'm sure Sydney never even thought about going over until a day or two later when he got the phone call. But to me, it just doesn't have the same thing. Would I want to play in one if I was in the NHL still? Yes, 100% to go and do something like that. Just another thing to chalk up for life experiences. But to me, it's all about the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs.
And there you have it. The reason why we're not big fans of this tournament is because no one ever asked us to play in it. Well, good on Connor Brown and company, because they're coming back with gold medals. And ultimately, hey, you're a champion. I don't care if it's playing cards on the plane. Everybody wants to win. If you're
I didn't
watch to win it.
Yeah, I didn't watch one game from over there, but I played a pro hockey game in Latvia with the Capitals back before you came to us a few weeks later. And it was about a 4,000, 5,000 seat arena in Riga. And it was the smallest ice surface of the ice surfaces that we played over there, but it was a rickety old barn. I'm assuming they have a new one now, but it was every arena that I played in Russia or Sweden the ice was massive. And some places were sold out there were no seats in the buildings. People just stood on concrete all game. There was no glass on the side in a few of the arenas. One was in a bigger than any indoor football stadium I've ever seen in St. Petersburg. It was, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people it could hold, but our bus drove in on the field and it was like a half mile once we got inside the building. It was amazing how big it was, but everything's different over there. I'm all about the NHL.
For the love of the game. All right. Well, it's great job as always, Albie. Fantastic. Should we check in on Doug MacLean? Do we know if he's okay? Did he catch his breath?
Well, he's probably got some high-end helicopter coming to find him right now to take him back to the island or whatever, where he owns those luxury condos and everything that he has. And I'm happy he's out doing this stuff, on the geriatric tour. Good for him.
Somehow, some way, if there's a spa anywhere in the woods, he'll find it.
Yeah.
He's probably having a massage right now as we speak. Okay, Alan, give us a couple of quick thoughts. Bruins, Islanders score, and then Jets, Montreal to end the show today.
I'm going Islanders over Bruins 4-2.
Whoa, empty netter.
And then I am going Montreal 3-1. 3-1. Yep.
Ugh. God, I'm going to give Winnipeg a game here. Have we heard anything about Petrie? Since the
game
show
time
started?
Game time decision is what they're saying.
That helps.
Yeah.
And I'll take the Bruins at the TD Garden, I think, right?
All right.
I'll take.
I'll bet you a little Buddha berry vodka.
No berry. Grilled pineapple and rosemary. Isn't that what you always said when we went out?
Get it right.
Georgetown?
Get it right.
Hey, you want rosemary in your drink?
I wanted Rosemary to serve me the drink, and I can't touch pineapple, man.
No pineapple on your pizza?
No pineapple, period. I can't even touch a can.
Why?
Yeah, it's just bad experience as a kid.
Oh,
bad experience,
gosh.
Yeah.
Pineapple.
And it involved vodka.
Listen, it's grilled pineapple. Is there anything better than a grilled pineapple on like a cheeseburger? Come on.
You know what? That's very Greek of you. Is that like Greek delicacy?
That's feta. Then we're throwing feta on it as well.
Yeah.
All right, Alan. Hey, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Take care, Kyper. Thank you.
Every once in a while, if you're going to come on the show, be worse than Doug. It'll make him feel better.
All right, I'll try. I don't know if I can do it.
All right, Alan May, everybody from NBC Washington, covers the Capitals and the rest of the Hockey League as well as anyone out there. And thanks for all of you for joining. If you're a first-time watcher, hit the subscribe, man. We just keep building more people. Almost closing in on 11,000 subscribers on the Real Kyper at Noon show. So we certainly appreciate that. Leave the comments. And yes, we'll track down Doug MacLean for you by Wednesday. He should be arriving in PEI. Thanks for watching, everybody. Enjoy the games tonight.